I was giving my parents $3,500 every single month, and they still left me out of the family vacation. When I asked my dad why, he didn't even flinch. "We didn't want you there," he said, plain as day. The next morning, my phone practically exploded with messages. Honestly, I'm not sure what kind of reaction I expected when I realized they'd all gone on a trip without me. Maybe I'd feel confused at first? Maybe hurt, maybe angry? Yeah, it was all of that wrapped into one tight knot in my chest. But even that didn't prepare me for what came next. It all kicked off when my younger brother, Matt, posted a picture on Instagram. There they were, my entire family, standing on a stretch of bright, white sand. Everyone looked relaxed and cheerful, holding drinks and flashing smiles like they were living in a resort commercial. The caption said, "Much needed family getaway." Family. I just stared at that word. Family. I kept reading it over and over, half expecting to see my name pop up somewhere in the comments. Maybe someone would say I had to stay home for work. Or at the very least, a little mention that I'd be joining them later. But nope. Nothing. Not a single word. So I kept scrolling through more pictures, and each one hit harder than the last. Photos of them lounging at a 5-star resort, dressed up for dinners at expensive restaurants, sailing around on boat tours. I checked my phone for any messages. Maybe I missed something? Email, texts, calls, but no. Not a single invite. Not even a warning. Just silence. That's when I decided to call my dad. The phone only rang twice before he picked up. "Hey, son," he said, all casual, like he wasn't caught red-handed in the middle of a full-blown betrayal. I didn't waste time. "Where are you guys?" There was a pause, and then he answered flatly. "We're on vacation." My jaw tightened. Without me? He let out this long, drawn-out sigh, like I was the one being difficult. "Look, we didn't think you'd be interested in coming." I blinked. "You didn't think I'd want to go?" My voice cracked, sharp with disbelief. "You've been talking about this trip for months. I send you money every month to help out, and you couldn't even ask me?" Another pause. Then he dropped the hammer. "We didn't want you there." For a second, I forgot how to breathe. "What? You're always busy." "Always working," he said like it was a problem. "Honestly, you just killed a vibe." He said it like I was some guy from the office who tagged along uninvited. Like I was a downer at a party they were trying to enjoy. "We figured it'd be more fun this way." I looked down and realized I'd been squeezing my phone so tightly, my knuckles were turning white. I took a deep breath and said, slow and steady, "I send you $3,500 every month." I could feel my hands start to shake. "I've paid your bills. Helped cover your emergencies. Cleared out debt. And you think it's better this way? Don't make this a thing," he muttered. "You wouldn't have enjoyed it anyway." I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I just hung up. Just a quiet click and that was it. I sat there staring at my phone, not even feeling like I was in my own body. My mind just kept looping his words, "We didn't want you there." That wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a miscommunication. It was intentional. Cold. Planned. And I was done. That night, I logged into my bank account and started cutting ties. First, I canceled the automatic payments. No more $3,500 leaving my account each month. That lifeline? Gone. Then I checked our joint account, the one I'd been funneling cash into for family emergencies. It was practically empty. Should have figured. I moved whatever was left into my own account. And then I did what I probably should have done years ago, I blocked them. My dad. My mom. My siblings. Every last one of them. For the first time in years, I wasn't their personal ATM. And you know what? As I lay down that night, I felt something I hadn't felt in ages. Relief. The next morning, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Even though I'd cut off my immediate family, word had gotten around. Messages came flooding in from aunts, cousins, even old family friends I hadn't spoken to in forever. The first message I opened was from my aunt. "Hey, your mom just called me sobbing. What's going on? She says you're refusing to help anymore?" Then my cousin Melissa chimed in. "Dude, did you seriously cut off your parents? What happened?" And, of course, the guilt trips started rolling in. You're being selfish. They gave you everything growing up. This is how you treat your family? But one message stood out. It was from a number I didn't recognize, but I knew exactly who it was. You think you can just turn your back on us after all we've done for you? You're pathetic. Enjoy being alone. That was my dad. I stared at the screen, but I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I just felt tired. They weren't sorry. They weren't trying to fix anything. They were mad they lost their cash cow. And for once in my life, I didn't care. I put the phone down and went to make myself breakfast. They could scream all they wanted. They could beg, guilt me, insult me, it didn't matter. I wasn't going back. Let them find out what life feels like without me holding them up. By that afternoon, the peace was shattered by loud banging on my front door. I looked through the peephole. It was my sister, Anna. I thought about pretending I wasn't home, but I knew she wouldn't just walk away. So I sighed and opened the door. She barged in like it was her place. What the hell, Eric? I crossed my arms. What? She spun around, her face flushed with anger. Mom's been crying nonstop. Dad's furious. They said you just cut them off out of nowhere. I gave a bitter laugh. No warning? Like how they went on a family trip and conveniently forgot to include me? Like how they decided they didn't want me there? Anna opened her mouth, but no words came out. I kept going. They've been using me for years, Anna. I've paid every bill, every debt. I've given them everything they asked for. And the thanks I get? Getting treated like I don't exist unless they need more money. She swallowed hard. It's not like that. Isn't it? I shot back. Tell me, Anna, did anyone even mention me during the trip? Did anyone ask why I wasn't there? Her silence was louder than any answer. I let out a breath. I'm done. Her face softened a little. But they need you. I held up a hand. No. They need my money. They don't need me. And if they don't respect me as a person, then they don't deserve my support. It's really that simple. She ran a hand through her hair, looking flustered. Eric, they're our parents. We can't just abandon them. I looked her dead in the eye. Then you help them. She blinked. What? You heard me. If you think they deserve that kind of support, you start footing their bills. Let's see how long you last before they drain you dry. Anna looked down, staring at her shoes like they held all the answers. Yeah. That's what I thought. She turned to leave but stopped at the door. They're not gonna stop trying to get to you. I leaned against the wall. Good. Because I'm not backing down either. She left without saying another word. And for the first time in days, I actually smiled. Let them come. This time, I was standing my ground. I honestly figured cutting them off would be the end of it. Thought they'd throw their usual fit, maybe sulk for a while, and then just move on when they realized I wasn't backing down. Turns out, I seriously underestimated just how far they'd go. Next morning, my boss called me into his office. Eric, you got a sec? His voice didn't give anything away, but my stomach tightened the second I heard it. Sure, what's going on? I asked, already bracing myself. He let out a tired sigh and rubbed his temples. I got a strange call this morning, from your mom. My heart sank like a rock. You've gotta be kidding me. I wish I were, he said, leaning in a little. She said you might be having some kind of mental breakdown, that you were making reckless financial choices you'd regret. Suggested you might need time off. I clenched my jaw. So, guilt-tripping me didn't work, and now they were moving on to straight-up sabotage. I told her your personal life isn't my business, he went on, giving me a serious look. But I still need to ask, are you alright? I let out a slow breath. Yeah. I just stopped sending money to my parents. They're throwing a fit about it. He gave a low whistle. Ah, well, that explains the drama. Sorry they dragged you into it, I said, feeling embarrassed. Not your fault, he replied, waving it off. But listen, if they ever try something like this again, tell me right away. I don't tolerate harassment, family or not. I walked out of his office fuming. They were desperate, and that was a good sign. Back at my desk, I checked my phone. 16 missed calls and one text from my mom that read, "If you don't answer, we'll have no choice but to involve the rest of the family." I let out a long, steady breath. They still thought they could strong-arm me into giving in. I was about to prove just how wrong they were. By the time I got home that night, my phone looked like it had been caught in a storm. More missed calls. More texts. Voicemail completely full. I started scrolling through them, shaking my head. "Mom, we don't understand why you're doing this. Dad, enough of this foolishness. Call me now. Anna, they're talking about selling stuff just to stay afloat. Are you really okay with that? Uncle Jim, your mom called me in tears. Eric. Can't you at least talk to her? Cousin Melissa, dude, your parents say you're punishing them for no reason. What's going on?" I actually laughed at that one. No reason? Yeah, okay. I kept scrolling. "Mom, your father and I are struggling. If you had any heart, you'd help us. We're your parents. Dad, you're acting like a spoiled brat. UOWES after everything we've done for you." And just like that, the real reason behind their tantrum smacked me in the face. It wasn't about missing me. It wasn't about making things right. They genuinely believed I owed them. For years, I'd bent over backward, sent money, paid their bills, bailed them out time and time again. And now they had the nerve to call me ungrateful? I tossed my phone on the table and rubbed my face with both hands. They still didn't get it. They thought this was just another one of my moods. That if they pushed hard enough, I'd cave like always. I needed to make something real clear. I picked up my phone and started typing me, "I don't owe you anything. Me, I've supported you for years. You left me out of a family vacation and couldn't even be honest about it. That told me everything I needed to know. You only care about me when I'm paying your way. That ends now. I paused just a second before I finished it off of me. "Find someone else to bankroll your lifestyle. I'm done." Then I blocked both of them. Blocked Anna. Blocked anyone else trying to drag me back in. And right after that, something wild happened. I really exhaled, for the first time in years. Like I'd been carrying this invisible weight I didn't even realize was there. No more constant expectations. No more guilt hanging over my head. No more letting people drain me dry just because they shared my last name. For once, I was finally free. And you know what? For the first time in years, my bank account stayed exactly the same at the end of the month. No big withdrawals. No surprise emergency expenses. No random charges I could barely remember agreeing to. It was all mine. Every last dollar. At first, I thought the guilt would creep in. I'd been so conditioned to worry about their bills, about whether they'd get by without me. It was second nature. But after a few days of nothing but silence, I started to realize something: they weren't starving. They weren't on the streets. They were just inconvenienced. And that realization pissed me off. I'd put my own dreams on hold for years. Skipped out on stuff I wanted. Sacrificed my own comfort just so they could live easy. And the minute they had to deal with the same realities as everybody else, they threw a tantrum. They never actually needed me. They just liked the setup where I was the ATM. Now that the free ride was over, they were scrambling. That first week was quiet. But come week 2, the game started up again. New numbers started calling. I stopped picking up, but curiosity got the better of me, and I checked one voicemail. It was my mom, her voice sugary sweet and soaked in fake concern. "Eric, honey, just checking in. We haven't heard from you and we're worried. Maybe we can talk and work this out? Call me back, sweetie. We miss you." I almost laughed. We miss you. Right. What they really missed was their income stream. I deleted the message without a second thought. But then, later that night, I got a text from my buddy Josh. "Hey man, your mom just messaged me on Facebook. Everything okay?" I blinked. They were reaching out to my friends now? "What did she say?" I replied. He sent over a screenshot of Mom. "Josh, I'm so sorry to reach out like this, but I'm really worried about Eric. He's been acting strange, cutting off his family, making rash decisions. We're afraid he's struggling mentally. If you hear from him, please let us know. We just want to help." My blood boiled. They weren't just trying to guilt-trip me anymore. They were trying to make me look unstable. I called Josh immediately. Before I could say a word, he beat me to it. "Dude, I don't believe a word of it," he said. "Just thought you should know what they're doing." I let out a breath. "Thanks, man. They're just mad the cash flow stopped." Josh laughed. "Yeah, I figured. Just wanted to make sure you're good." We talked for a bit, and after I hung up, I sat there for a long while, just staring into nothing. My parents weren't desperate. They weren't in trouble. They were just manipulative. And I was finally done falling for it. That right there? That was their final move. Since they couldn't bully the money out of me, they figured they'd try shaming me into it. Turn the people around me against me. Make it look like I was the ungrateful son gone rogue. And that? That was the last damn straw. If they wanted to play dirty, fine, I'd meet them there. But they had no clue what was coming. See, I knew them. I knew they weren't gonna stop unless I took away every corner they could hide in. So for the first time in my life, I did something they never expected. I told the truth. Publicly. I didn't rant. Didn't scream. Just made a calm little Facebook post, plain and simple. "Hey everyone, just to clear up some confusion, no, I'm not having a mental breakdown. I haven't abandoned my family. I just stopped sending my parents money. For years, I've covered their bills, paid off their debts, and funded their lifestyle. In return, I've been excluded from family vacations, disrespected, and only contacted when they needed something. Now that I've cut them off, they're telling people I'm unstable. If you hear anything like that, now you know the truth. Thanks." Hit post. Sat back. And within minutes, it blew up. Comments started rolling in, messages buzzing my phone nonstop. People were stunned. Some angry, for me. Cousin Melissa chimed in first. "Wait, they went on vacation without you but used your money?" Then Uncle Jim, "Son, I had no idea. You did the right thing. Don't let them guilt you." Even Aunt Lisa dropped in with, "I can't believe they're trying to spin this like you're the villain. That's disgusting." But the best part? People started calling them out. Uncle Jim posted again, right there on the thread, "How are you struggling when Eric was sending you $3,500 a month? That's more than rent in half the country." And then another cousin added, "Y'all didn't mind spending his money. You just have a problem now that the gravy train stopped." Just like that, the story they'd been weaving, this whole narrative that I was the broken one, it started falling apart. And I knew they were absolutely losing it behind the scenes. Didn't take long for Anna to text me. "Anna, are you serious right now? You're airing family business on Facebook?" Me, "Nope. I'm correcting the lies our parents have been spreading." "Anna, this is humiliating for them." Me, "They should have thought of that before they tried to make me look crazy." She didn't reply. Figured. I could practically hear the chaos unfolding in their house. And you know what? I wasn't finished yet. Since they'd dragged the whole world into it, I had one more move to make. I picked up the phone and called their landlord. "Hey, Mr. Dawson. It's Eric." There was a pause on the other end. "Eric? Everything all right?" "Yeah," I said, calm and steady. "Just giving you a heads up, I won't be covering my parents' rent anymore. Whatever deal we had, it's done." Silence. Then, to my surprise, a soft chuckle. Well, he said. "I was wondering when this day would come." That threw me for a second. "What do you mean?" He let out a sigh. "Your folks have been late more times than I can count. Always said, 'Don't worry, our son will cover it.' Like it was guaranteed. Like you were their personal ATM." I clenched my jaw. "Of course they did." "Well," he said, "I'll be expecting their payment next month, on time. If they don't have it, that's on them." We wrapped up the call, and when I hung up, I felt something new: relief. Like I just shut the last open door they kept sneaking through. No more fallbacks. No more me swooping in to fix their messes. Reality was finally knocking on their door. And sure enough, less than 24 hours later, the panic began. I was halfway through dinner when the banging started. Loud. Fast. Desperate. I walked to the door, checked the peephole, there she was. My mother. Pacing. Eyes red, phone clutched in her hand like a lifeline. I almost didn't open it. Almost let her stand out there and deal with the silence. But I was curious, wanted to hear what lie she'd come up with this time. I cracked the door but didn't let her in. What do you want? Her voice was shaky. Eric, please, can we talk? About what? She swallowed, looking nervous. Mr. Dawson called. He said you told him you're not paying the rent anymore. I nodded, deadpan. Yeah. I told you, I'm done. Her eyes filled with tears. Eric, we need you. No, I said, sharp and steady. You need my money. She winced like I'd slapped her. We raised you, she said, voice rising. We took care of you. And now you just turn your back on us? I let out a dry laugh. You didn't seem to need me when you booked that vacation. Or when you told me we didn't want you there. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Nothing came out. So I kept going. You had no problem spending my money when it worked for you. But now that you've actually got to carry your own weight, suddenly it's a crisis? I'm not your safety net anymore. Tears ran down her cheeks. So you're just going to let us struggle? I looked her straight in the eye. You'll figure it out. She blinked, stunned. Then her whole face shifted, grief giving way to rage. Fine, she snapped. If this is who you want to be, don't expect us to forgive you. I leaned against the doorframe, unfazed. Forgive me for what? Setting boundaries? Taking back my life? I shook my head. No, Mom. If anyone needs forgiveness, it's you and Dad. She had nothing left. No comeback. Just stood there, furious and defeated. I took a step back and closed the door in her face. Then I stood there, listening to her footsteps fade down the hallway, and I smiled. Because for once, I wasn't the one walking away empty. The fallout came fast. A few hours later, Anna texted again. Anna, Mom came home hysterical. What did you say to her? Me, the truth. Anna, you're being cruel. She's devastated. Me, she's devastated because she lost control. Not because she lost me. No reply. Then my dad texted. Short. Ice cold. Dad, you made your choice. Don't come crawling back when you regret it. I stared at the screen, calm as ever, then typed me, I won't. And I meant it. They thought I'd break. That I'd feel guilty. That eventually I'd cave and come running back like I always had, checkbook in hand. But not this time. Not ever again. Days passed. Then a week. Then 2. Silence. And let me tell you, it felt good. For the first time in years, my paycheck stayed mine. No surprise emergencies, no guilt-fueled wire transfers. I could actually breathe. I started saving. Planning. Thinking about my future instead of financing theirs. I wasn't their crutch. I wasn't their bailout plan. I was free. And if they never spoke to me again? Well, that was their loss. Not mine. Because the biggest lesson I've learned through all this? Family isn't just blood. It's respect. It's mutual care. And if they can't give you that, they don't deserve a place in your life.